me briefly introduce today's speaker and the topic. The lecture topic is Sluice Technologies, Typologies and Diversifications in Ancient Sri Lankan Waterworks, and presented by Engineer Dr. Chandana Jayawardana. Dr. Jayawardana obtained BSc Engineering degree specialized in electrical engineering from the University of Moratuwa. That was followed by Master of Technology in Industrial Engineering and Master of Arts in Buddhist Studies. He earned his PhD researching on the contribution of Buddhist commentaries in resurrecting science and technology in ancient times in South Asian regions. His research interests cover the development patterns of science, technology, and engineering positioned in the respective socio-cultural contexts. Dr. Jayawardana is a chartered electrical engineer and has worked in the high voltage control and protection industry for 26 years. He is now attached to the Department of Mathematics and Philosophy of Engineering, Faculty of Engineering Technology, the Open University of Sri Lanka as a senior lecturer. Dr. Chandana, it's your turn.
Thank you very much for kind introduction, Dr. Dani. And I hope I am audible to all. Am I audible to all?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Fine, thank you. So, as already pointed out, today the lecture topic is Sluice Technologies, Typologies and Diversifications in Ancient Sri Lankan Waterworks. And when we are talking about the sluice works, it basically powers the outlet works where the water impounded in the reservoirs by the dams are released to the canals and distribution systems. So in present times, the outlets of reservoirs, whether they are large or small, are generally equipped with gates so that the concept of controlled water flows are being manifested. Sri Lanka being a country which used the waterworks, man-made waterworks, for its water management systems over several centuries, would have their own technologies and typologies when they were using this type of outlet works in their works. So today, we are very briefly, we are going through some of such work, just a filtered lot, and see what are the peculiarities of such work, and see how they are deviating from current technologies and current practice. The lecture will be consisting of considering the sluices in large reservoirs as well as small reservoirs, and it will start from the outlet works of large reservoirs, which will cover rather 7 topics: outflows through natural boulders, outflows through natural ridges, outflows through Bisokotua deep type sluices, outflows through Bisokotua shallow type sluices, outflows through gated sluices, sluice locations, and colonial and post-colonial modifications. Basically, the entire lecture will be consisting of 35 slides, and I'll try to cover it within 45 to 50 minutes. Considering the large storage outflows through natural boulders, some of the examples we can see even today at Soroboroiva, which is located at Badulla district, as you may all know. And they are, of course, rather than man-built work, the water outlet or water outflow is taken through some natural boulders, naturally formed boulders. There might have been some man-made modifications to this boulder formation, but basically it is consisting of the natural boulders. So it is just in between the two deep boulders, the water is getting flowed out. The same applies to the Erupotana River, which is not very much familiar, such as the Soroboro River. Erupotana River is located at Mahakachikodia area in Vavuniya district, and it is also consisting of some boulders through which the water flow is taken out. So there are no man-made or human-involved modifications as such in both those sluices at Soroboro River and Erupotana River. Another type, actually, now we can find out, or we can mark one typology of ancient sluices as the sluices which used the natural boulders to form the water outflow. Another type is usage of the natural ridges and getting some kind of tunneling system through the natural ridges, which we can find out at Madhuroya Reservoir. Madhuroya Reservoir came to limelight because of its location, and when the Canadian consultants were trying, when the Canadian consultants designed the new sluice at Madhuroya Reservoir, newly constructed Madhuroya Reservoir under Mahaveli project in 1970s and early 1980s. When they were digging the location to locate the foundation of the new sluice, they came across the remains of an early sluice at the very same point. So with that, this ancient sluice at Madhuroya came to limelight, and obviously this should be through a natural ridge rather than a man-made dam at this particular location. So you can see there are some boulders over the dam, which means the original possession of this sluice would have been a natural ridge through which they might have constructed a tunnel from the reservoir side to the channel side, the other side of the ridge, and used that tunnel in order to get the water outside. The abnormal height we can see in this particular construction would have been due to the fact that they required the working clearance within the tunnels and to locate the boulders to form the water flow. So this is another type we can find out in our ancient sluice systems, the outflow through natural ridges. So in between the inlet and the outlet of the Madhuroya, we can see a chamber in which some of the walls, or actually one wall, is provided with this sort of carvings of they are saying it is like a group of dancers. Actually, today we can't go to this particular chamber. It has been sealed by now, and the reason for the figure is not certain. Some are saying it may be due to some ritual purposes, and there are no consistency between the ideas expressed by the scholars and the people who have first-hand experience of this particular chamber. But probably they might have some kind of devala sort of thing in between the sluice, so that they might have some kind of rituals inside that. So at the bottom side of the slide, you can see the outcrop of the Madhuroya sluice. You can see there are 2 barrels. So this is again a typical arrangement of the outflows we can see in slides to come. There may be 1 or 2, maximum it would be 2 channels, so two barrels through which the water is coming out. So coming to the third type of sluice type, I am moving to the outflow through Bisokotua sluices. Actually, Bisokotua also we can basically segregate into 2 types. One type is the deep Bisokotua type, and the second type is the shallow Bisokotua type. So first we will cover the deep Bisokotua type sluices in our ancient waterworks. So generally, the description of Bisokotua is very obviously and very evidently described by Henry Parker, whose work Ancient Ceylon is still considered authoritative on the subject, which has originally been published in 1909 after he visited by himself to many of the ancient waterworks in the island as an official of the newly formed irrigation department. By then, actually, irrigation department was formed in 1900, and Parker was assigned as a technical assistant there, and his duty allowed and his duty required him to visit many of the ancient waterworks by himself, having the first-hand experience of those works. And fortunately, he has recorded in detail what he has seen there, but to some extent, he gave his own opinions, his own interpretations on these ancient works, which may not be the exact case. So, according to Parker, the Bisokotua type sluices are consisting of an inlet barrel. You can see the plan view may be a bit clear here. So this is the low level and high level sluices as recorded by Parker, and this is the inlet side, and this is the outlet side. Inlet side is consisting of 2 barrels, and the outlet side is consisting of again 2 barrels, and in between there's a square-like thing, square-like well. So it is this well which is called the Bisokotua. So if someone is not very much familiar with the term, so this is the basic arrangement of ancient Bisokotua type sluices, and this is the exact location of the item we normally refer to as Bisokotua. So you can see here in the lower side sketch, it is the barrel, incoming barrel, and the outgoing barrel, and Bisokotua is over there. So this may be the very clear clear description of what we are calling today as Bisokotua. So again, this is the powerful ancient sluice Bisokotua as recorded by Parker, and Gunawardana, Professor R.L.H. Gunawardana, again considered to be an authoritative person on the subject, has made some, or rather has published some work on the subject, and he has got some detailed drawings with dimensions of the Wahalkada reservoir, which is at its original condition, and this is the Wahalkada reservoir as recorded by Professor R.L.H. Gunawardana. So you can see that almost all Bisokotua sluices, these Bisokotua sluices are having a sort of same arrangement. Okay, it is an inlet barrel, outlet barrel. In between the inlet barrel and the outlet barrel, this particular well called Bisokotua. So this is one of the Bisokotuas at Kudavilachia well, which is located inside the Vilpattu reserved area, and this is the right bank side Bisokotua, and this has been constructed by the people, This is around 2012 when we were visiting there, and it has been distracted, thinking that there are these Nidan and all sort of things inside and and beneath the Visokotua. Not sure they have found out any Nidan, but very unfortunately, we lost some of our very precise national wealth because of this type of vandalism. So you can see, so this is the, there's outgoing barrel going from one side of this Visokotua, which is like this. Of course, at the original condition, the earthen bank, the dam would have been on top of this particular barrel, but of course that part has been demolished by now. The entire dam has been demolished by now, exposing the upper layer of the granite slabs which form the outgoing barrel of the Visokotua. So this is how it looks like. So this is the Visokotua of the Kudavilachia, same reservoir at the left bank side. Left bank channel Visokotua is something like this. So you can see a very preserved type Visokotua. To the best of my knowledge, it is the most well preserved Visokotua until recent times in the island. You can see the well-defined edges and the well-defined surfaces of the Visokotua, and what sort of work our ancestors would have been doing when forming this particular Visokotua. Always these granite slabs are supported by heavy brickwork, so that they are positioned under any water pressure. They are not being disturbed, they are not being distracted, and the pressures would have been tolerated by the internal arrangements of this Visokotua by heavy brickwork which is surrounding these granite slabs, so that they are being enforced in their original positions. So this is another Visokotua at Buwewa, and actually Buwewa Visokotua is considered to be the only Visokotua in Sri Lanka which has been archaeologically preserved, archaeologically studied and archaeologically preserved. Buwewa Visokotua, of course, Kudavilachia Visokotua is inside the Vilpattu reserve area. So you need some sort of permission from various departments to go there. But Buwewa Visokotua, it is free. When someone is visiting Polonnaruwa and going from Paratna Samudra side to Angamedila side, you can visit. Anyone can visit this particular location. So you can see here the peculiarity is you can see that how these Visokotuas have been formed. Actually the granite slabs have been placed interlocked with each other, so that their original position could be maintained. They are interlocked, so each is strengthened. The location of each granite slab is strengthening the location of other granite slabs in the vicinity. So this is the Buwewa Visokotua. And this is one of the abundant Visokotua at Paratna Samudra. This also anyone can visit, but it is inside the jungle. It is a bit difficult to locate it. Even the people in the vicinity are not aware of this particular Visokotua over there. But if if there's any chance, it is worthy to go there, because this is also again a preserved type Visokotua. So the original type, or rather original arrangement of the Visokotua could have been seen by visiting this Visokotua as well. So this is the outside of that Visokotua, so we can see what we have seen at the Buwewa Visokotua. The arrangement of the Buwewa Visokotua could be seen in this Paratna Samudra ancient Visokotua as well. Paratna Samudra other Visokotuas have been converted to new sluices, which we'll be discussing in the slides to come, how these modifications, the colonial and post-colonial modifications came into being. And these are the original arrangements. So we can see that the arrangement of the slabs, again interlocking each other. You can see the photo at the bottom, how each is interlocking with the others so that the arrangement could be maintained in various conditions. Another Bisoko tour we can see at Talapatkuluma, which is again at the Anuradhapura district. It is not Polonnaruwa, it is the Anuradhapura district. Could be somewhere around Kakirao. And this is also an ancient type. The peculiarity there is in the adjacent boulder, there's a very nice cobra figure, which is having 7-hood cobra figure with some female figures. So it is normally interpreted as this Nagaraja and Nagarajini figures. So this is another feature of our ancient waterworks. In many of the waterworks, you can see Urusita. We are going to see it in a couple of slides, and the ponds like Puttampakuna, this and Nagapakuna at Mihintale, this 7-hooded cobra figure is something very prominent. So it is said that the waterworks in Sri Lanka was managed, or they have been constructed, they have been developed and constructed by the Naga clan people. We are not sure. But there are some assertions in that direction. So the workers, the people who were really responsible for these works would have been belonged to some kind of particular expertise. So this, whatever the reason may be, this particular figure is very prominent in Sri Lankan waterworks. So this is the Pandava Bisoko. So now with this Talapatkulama Bisoko tour, we are reaching the another typology of the Bisoko tours, the shallow type. In the Bisoko tours we have so far seen in maybe Pudavilachya, maybe Parakram Samudra, maybe whoever, maybe Talapatkulam. So all these Bisoko tours are sort of maybe 4 or rather 3 to 4 meters high inside. The inside dimensions of the Bisoko tours would be 3 to 4 meters. But there are some Bisoko tours, especially in the Bisoko tour at Pandava, which is at Paduasnuwara. The Bisoko tour is not that deep. They are shallow Bisoko tours. So maybe 1 meter or 1.5 meters high. So these type of Bisoko tours we can see at Pandava, at Paduasnuwara, and again the Urusita at Ambilipitia. Sorry, at Ambilipitia. So as I said before, the 7-foot cobra figure at Urusita is something very prominent. It at the original state there were 2 figures, cobra figures, at the 2 sides of the barrels. But now, of course, only 1 cobra figure is there. The other has been removed to the Colombo Museum. So you can see the counterpart of this particular cobra figure at the Colombo Museum. It is so prominent that it is so prominent and so decorative. So apart from the Bisoko tour, the cobra hood figure itself forms a very admirable artifact. So that should be the reason they have shifted it from the original site to the Colombo Museum. So right, okay. So that's the that's another type of typology of Bisoko tour, the shallow type Bisoko tour. So leaving the Bisoko tour as a typology, we are coming to another typology of the sluice works, the gated sluice works. So this is the gated sluice work we can find out at the Kudavila Jayawardana. Actually, the location of this particular, so you can see that obviously there would have been a gate operated inside this particular groove over there. So there are grooves cut across in the sides as well, so that either timber or either granite slab would have moved up and down, opening and closing this particular opening. So this is the entrance of this sluice, and so actually this particular sluice have been erroneously identified by Professor Gunawardana, asserting that this is one of the examples for Bisoko tours having the gates. Actually, this is not a Bisoko tour type one. This is another type one. So, Professor Gunawardana's that assertion is not correct. If anyone is referring to those works of Professor Gunawardana. So anyway, this is the gated, one of the gated sluices we can see in our ancient waterworks. So this particular sluice is at this particular location. So this is the spill of the Kudavila Jayawardana. You can see the large boulders which have been placed one over the other to get this stability, and the gated sluice is located through this particular spill. So obviously the pressure, the head of the water, the water head which is applicable to this particular sluice would have been very much low, maybe just 1.5 meters, so just 2 meters. It should be 1.5 meters or so. The pressure is very much less, considering the deep Bisoko types where the water head would have been 4 meters or more than 4 meters. So here you can see this is the location of this particular sluice, and this is the inlet of this particular sluice. So you can see the grooves over here, which we have seen in the previous slides as well. And this is the outlet of the. This is the bottom picture shows the outlet of the sluice, and this is a detailed drawing of this particular sluice. This is the inlet side, this is the outlet side, and this is the opening. And on top of the opening, it is the boulders which form the spill of this particular reservoir, and beneath the opening also, again the boulders which form the spill of the reservoir. So these are the dimensions taken from the site itself. You can see it is just maybe okay from the top of the spill. It is just 50 inches up to the opening. So it is just water head of 50 inches, which is applicable to this particular sluice over here. So this is the opening we have seen at the opening end, and this is the closing we have seen at the closing end, and this is the barrel, which is now, of course, which is frequented by the wild animals. So if anyone is visiting there, should be cautious enough so that the wild animals might have been inside the sluice barrel. So these are the arrangement. So this is the top of the sluice, and this is the entering point, and this is the opening slot. the point is, so this is how these typologies are being built up. So the same arrangement we can see at Ranmasuena at Anuradhapura, which is again a manhole-like thing, and in order to get the water flow controlling. So you can see from this opening here and from this opening here, there might have been water coming into this particular manhole, and water would have been released through this gated outflow to this side. So it is the arrangement is 100% same. The gated sluice at the gated arrangement at the gated sluice at Pudavilakya and the gated arrangement at Ranmasuena manhole. So right, okay. So these are the typologies of the large reservoirs we can find out. Another interesting point we can see at Rambakanoya, actually this also came to the limelight when the Rambakanoya was constructed in recent times. I think they should have preserved this particular location, making this is not inundated by the new reservoir at Rambakanoya. Here, of course, what we are seeing here is 2 barrels of Bisokotua type sluice, which was not finished. You can see those granite slabs forming these 2 barrels, but due to some reason, this work has not been finished, and even the dams would have been not started even at this particular location. The important point here is, in our ancient works, this may indicate that in our ancient works, before doing the dam and the sluice and the spills and things like that, the basic factor or the basic design input would have been the location of the channel, the distribution channel. We might have located the channel first and then located the other features of the reservoir, like the sluice, like the dam, like the spill. So these things would have subsequent to the location of the channel. So when we are studying our ancient waterworks and ancient reservoirs and our ancient distribution channels, this may provide some interesting features, some important features. We have to start like. So first we have to identify the location and the topology of the channels, and then see what would have been the best option our ancient forefathers would have been followed in order to feed that channel from the storage. So in that aspect, although there's no such sluice at Rambakanoya, the remains, or rather the original pieces of these barrels may give some kind of a lesson to understand and to evaluate the possible studies on our ancient sluice work. So leaving that physical features, when we are trying to understand how these Bisokotuas would have been renovated and would have been modified during the colonial periods and the post-colonial periods, one important point is the efforts made by the colonial officers, the colonial technical officers, in understanding the function of the Bisokotua. Because when they were seeing these physical remains to the first time, they couldn't understand what would have been the function of these Bisokotuas. So there were so many interpretations, so many hypotheses built up. One is to escape the surplus water, like a spill. Another is to supplement, could be put in the sluice in the well. So the point is, there would have been some gates at the inlet point, but when they were not operating and when they were to be replaced, the Bisokoto would have been provided means of installing the gates until the gates at the inlet could be finished. Another is to enter into the barrels for the purpose of cleaning it. Entering as well as getting the light inside. For the working in the barrels, it is really, really dark. So in order to get the light, someone might have put Bisokotua at there. So these are different interpretations. We should remember that these are the interpretations given by the people who visited these sites by themselves and had first-hand experience of these ancient physical remains. Another one is to collect the rubbish. Okay, this collecting rubbish is one hypothesis they coming up, and another is culvert, or rather these barrels were under heavy pressure of the water. So in order to release the pressure caused by the water, they would have been built the Bisokotua. And to inspect the condition of culvert, again as an access point, they would have been used this Bisokotua in order to enter into the barrels. They are saying culvert, but all these hypotheses, all these assertions, all these interpretations came to stand still when one person, again Henry Parker, made his assertion published in his book in Ancient Ceylon in 1990. He was saying that due to all the valves and the lifting gear for working them, they were the first. Okay, so according to Parker, Bisokotua was none other than a valve pit where the valves or gates were installed. And he was going a bit further, saying that it was the Sinhalese engineers who were the first inventors of the valve pit more than 2,100 years ago. So with that assertion and with that interpretation, what the colonial engineers, colonial technical people did was install gates inside every Bisokotua they came across. And the granite slabs were layered with the concrete layers, and there were special arrangements, special constructions made in order to install the gates. So this is one of such modified Bisokotua we can see at Erueva, near Anuradhapura, of course. And there, of course, the inlet and the outlet remains unmodified, but the Bisokotua was modified with concrete laying of the granite slabs and then installing the gates. So we should remember that installation of the gates inside the Bisokotuas by the colonial engineers was not due to the evidence they have got, but due to some kind of assertion. Okay, so so that leaves the sluice works of the large storages, and we are coming to the sluice works of the small storages, where I am going to concentrate on outflows through vertical pipe sluices and colonial and post-colonial engagements. So these are the type of sluices we can find in the village level small tanks in the ancient times, rather than Bisokotua or these boulders or ridges or tunneling or anything else. It is the type of kata, or some are calling it hatti, katasaro or hattisaro, which is consisting of several units positioned one over the other, so that depending on the water level, these units could be removed so that the water could be released to the outside. So this is the inside of the tank, and by removing one of the unit at a time, they can get the water outside. So actually, Now, of course, I don't think we can find out any of this sort of sluices in our village tanks. Maybe up to 2008, maybe up to 80s, till the implementation of the Mahaveli project. This type of sluices would have been there in village tanks, even not very oftenly. But now, of course, I don't think nowhere we can find out this type of sluices other than the photos in the books. So this is the way they have used the sluices, and they have operated the sluices in the village level small tanks. And during the colonial engagements of these village tanks, they were following the same arrangement, and they used to have the well-burned clay units to form these kata or hatti sarovar. So these are the drawings developed by the colonial, maybe PWD, the Public Works Department, before the yes, it is before 1090s. So it is the public. It should be the Public Works Department, and they have come up with several types. They are saying this is the Murray type sluice, maybe one sort of technical officer or engineer who might have designed this particular sort of units. They developed the molds so that they can build these units, this kata-like thing in mass scale, because the demand was so high, and the PWD was supposed to supply the demand. So they came across with the methodologies how to build them, how to manufacture them in really fast. So they have built the molds and get the things out and burn it and dispatch to the areas where they were required. And this is the arrangement they have put it. So we can see this is the bund, and in order to get the kata, they have put a spur bund like thing, and once the water level is getting down, they have to destruct this spur bund. It is a temporary spur bund, and get the kata out, so that water is getting from these vertical type units, vertical units, and it goes to horizontal units and through that to the distribution canal. So this type of arrangement they have followed in the early times, like 1080s, but these were then replaced by the plug type sluices and the lifting gate sluices, because these kata, or rather the replacement of these units was very cumbersome. Okay, you have to build them, you have to transfer it to the site, and people had to work and install them. And especially after introducing this, after demolishing the Rajakari system, according to this Dodoma Commission, there were no one to maintain these village level waterworks. So getting these sluices updated and getting these sluices renovated and repaired, it was a big task to the government. So they were trying to come up with some kind of solution, and they discontinued this kata type or vertical type sluice arrangement, and they were coming up with this like plug type of sluice with lifting gate. There are no replacement. These are permanent structures, so that you can operate the gates at the staying at the top of the sluices. So and then they this plug type and the lifting gate type also was replaced by the screw type operated sluices at the village, even at the village level sluices. So you can see these type of modifications were done during the colonial periods. And these modifications which were done during the colonial periods were continued after post-colonial periods also. So now what we can see is the gated outflows from either from the large storages or from the small storages. So just summarizing the things, considering our ancient works, there were no generalized applications, but the location and outflow volume specific applications. Depending on the location of the sources, they use specific and they used separate technologies, separate arrangements, separate constructions, depending on the location and depending on the amount of water released through these sluices. Basically, they were not the controlled outflows, but the level-based outflows. Once the water level comes to the sluice level, they were released. So there are volumes of technical explanations which needs the second point. I am not going into those details, but rather than controlled outflows, they were level-based outflows. More or less, they were like spills. More or less, they were like spills. Third point is not complied with the social theories, such as because there were some social theories built up, like Asian mode of production by Karl Marx and Oriental discourse by Carl Vogel, saying that in Asian countries there were hydraulic civilizations and hydraulic empires, where the waterworks were used to control the general masses. So these type of assertions were made, thinking that they were controlled outflows. But our case, it should not be the case. Not the deep water outflows, but the topmost surface water outflows. So always it is the topmost water going outside the tank and up to the fields or whatever the user points. It is the top level, or rather surface water, top level water, not the deep water. Again, we can understand there are a lot of technical implications of these surface water outflows and the deep level outflows. Which needs more and more research and more studies, and with coming up with more and more possibilities. The fifth point is, during the colonial restorations, the Euro-conceived water technologies were adopted. Especially, they were thinking that water outflows from the reservoirs should be controlled, so that they were storages. During the rainy times, they were storing the water, and during the when rain was not there, they were releasing the water depending on the drop cycles. But in our case, it should not be the problem. It should not be the case. And in another case, I am just talking about the sluices here, but the way they have operated, if we need to understand the real way they have operated, we have to take the entire system into consideration. The large reservoirs, small reservoirs, their respective sluices, and the distribution canals, everything. The colonial, the sixth point, the colonial influences were continued during the post-colonial era, which is common to not to the sluice technologies, but to many other technical applications. And finally, ancient waterworks became a subject of romanticizing the past rather than a subject to resurrect our ancient social linkages. So rather than getting rather than putting them into the real context, and rather than studying them in real technical terms, these ancient works have now been taken as archival knowledge, and just to romanticizing our past. We were the first time. We were the owners of these things. But rather than such aspect, there may be such aspects we can ascribe to our ancient works, no problem at all. But still, there are a lot of things, technical things, we have to come up with. We have to resurface and study and research before identifying the two operation mechanisms and finally what sort of features they possessed in order to sustain them for thousands of years. So that's the main important part, I think, because if we take the Abhaya according to the historical records, chronicle records, it has been there for maybe more than 2000 years. So still it operates and still it fulfills the human needs. So what sort of features associated with Abhaya which ensured that sustainability? So these are the things I think we need to highlight. We need to, as engineers, as technical expertise, as people with technical knowledge background, technical skills. Those are the things I think we have to concentrate on when we are talking about our ancient waterworks. So these are the references, and this is the yes, there are several colonial records were referred. So that's the end of the presentation, and it's over to Dr. Dayani to continue from this point on. Thank you very much.
Dr. Chandana, thank you very much for giving this interesting talk. Now we have arrived to Q&A session, but I just want to convey two facts. The first thing is, please keep your questions as brief as you can. And the second thing is, the Q&A session is only limited for 30 minutes. So if you have further questions, you can send them via his email address.
Thank you, Dr. Chandana, for your interesting talk. I would like to ask you one question, actually. So when you go deep down in this, whatever Bisokotua or sluice gates, the hydrostatic force increases, right? Is there a
Yes.
Is there a clue that they have used different types of interlocks, what you have shown us? Interlocks or any thickness of the material changes or something like that in order to get this hydrostatic force? Any clue?
No, I don't think, because what we have seen, what we are seeing right now is something very much modified during the recent times. So such things, I don't think we can see very evidently, but there may be some hidden features. Only point is, if we are exploring them with that in mind, then maybe we may be coming up with that. So, that's the point. If we are seeing them in that perspective, then we may be able to get some clues. But up to now, I don't think we have come across any sort of that finding.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Dr. Chandana?
Yes.
Yes,
yes.
Can we call these Bisokotua surge chambers? Is it?
Yes. Yes, in recent publications as well, they are saying the Bisokotua as surge chambers, thinking that I think it is like because when the water enters and during any surges, the level of the water inside the Bisokotua can go up and down, so that the pressure inside the inlet and outlet barrels could be maintained to a certain extent. There's a possibility. Because always the water level inside the Bisokotua is different to that of the when water flows through the barrels, the water level inside the Bisokotua is different from that of the reservoir. The function of surge chambers would have been there, but but I'm not sure whether that's the only function it fulfills. That reference have been made. Yes, I have seen such references in recent writings.
Thank you, Dr. Chandana, for your wonderful research and presentation.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Any more questions, please?
May I ask another question?
Yes, of course. Yes.
How would they have transported and placed such large rocks? They're granite, I presume.
Yes.
So to place and
Yes.
manipulate
Sluice,
such.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Now, actually, when we are talking about the transportation of these large slabs and large granite boulders, and I think another very important feature of our ancient waterworks is the riprap. Because now, of course, the riprap is formed by just falling some rubbles from Typologies and it is not nicely placed. But when we are exploring the ancient ripraps, there was a part of such ancient riprap in the Giritale. It is no more there, I think. But definitely there's a part in the Kudavilachia, untouched and very maiden riprap. And you can see there are very well placed heavy boulders, one over the other. So even the spill I showed you at the Kudavilachia, you can see. So okay, so we can see that there are large boulders over here, which is placed one over the other in a nice manner. So so these works would have been extended for kilometers and kilometers. So there would have been very large amount of human labor going into this, as well as there would have been some machines, maybe the basic forms of machines they have used. I think levering is there. Levering should be there, and the other thing. So there are two components. It is the transportation and the placing. For both those functions, for both those processors, there might have two basic applications they have used. One thing is the lever mechanism, and the other thing is they might have used the animal power, like elephants, to its maximum. So this is another area we need to explore, because it is without such abilities and without such potentials, they wouldn't have started these works. The people who started these works should have some kind of assurance that they can handle the project within some kind of a reasonable time. So these basic machines and the animal power they might have used. I have seen even when this Galway project was going on, I have seen the ribbons was used to transport heavy weights even in Galway, and I think even in the beginning of the Mahaveli project, elephants were used because at the very at the very start, the roads were not up to the level the vehicles can go. So in order to get the roads, the access roads and things like that, they have used the elephants to transport the weights. So those things our ancient people would have used to the very fine detail.
And the machining of the gates, the grooves and the opening for the gates, it's very
That's right.
precise and smooth.
Very precise. Very precise.
So what
Yes.
tools would they have used?
Actually, this actually that opens venue for another broad discussion our potential in metallurgy. So actually, I think Jiljilev,
Yes.
she has done some. Yeah, she has presented her work in Royal Asiatic Society as well. So the summer level ancient iron furnaces and the quality of the iron they have produced was proved beyond any doubt. And even in 1912, Robert Hadfield got some samples from our Colombo Museum of our ancient steel tools and checked in the UK laboratories, and the results were very similar to the results received by Jiljilev in 1990s. So the tooling and the metallurgy should also a very advanced subject we should have in ancient times. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
If there are no more questions, shall we wind up the session? Dr. Samira?
Yes, Dr. Gaini. If there are no any more questions, we can wind up. And yes, thank you very much, Dr. Chandana, for your interesting and very
Yes.
informative presentation.
And once again, thank you very much, Dr. Iresha and Mrs. Shereen, by adding your questions. It will be more like a wonderful one. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today for this wonderful and exciting lecture. So thank you, everyone, and good night. Thank you.
And from my part, thank you very much for the section C of this class for arranging this lecture and for inviting me to have this lecture. Thanks for all who did a good job.